You got me, Chris.
I know what I'm talking about, but nobody else does.
You got me. I visited Chris a couple weeks ago, and I was in the car shopping, buying mode. Then I started talking to him a little bit about the car. I was going to buy a car. I wanted another car. And Chris goes, well, why don't you get the electric one? Because there were two versions of the car I wanted. And he's like, well, why don't you get the electric one? And I looked, and they're like the same price, the two versions of the car, which is really, I mean, that's probably
surprising.
something to say off the bat, right? Like the two versions of the car being essentially the same price. That's like that must be a recent thing, right? That's a more recent development.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of, I would say, like, I don't know, depreciation in used electric car prices lately for several reasons. But I think some of it was that like dealers had a lot of inventory and people were trading up to different ones, and people are waiting to get the ones with the new, the whatever the number is, but the NACS plug, the Tesla plug, right, for the fast charging.
Yep.
Like, so that's coming like in model year 2025. So I would imagine that there's a little bit of a lull right now. Like, so you may have just gotten very lucky in the pricing, but also it's great that you did.
Yeah, I mean, you said get the electric one, and I started thinking about it, and I said, do I care about any of that? Like, not really. Like, most of the charging networks out there are still the what is it, CCS?
CCS.
Is that Yeah. But a lot of them out there are still that. If not, it's pretty easy to adapt. It's not terribly difficult to adapt them. And I was just like, man, I really didn't go into this process considering an electric car, but I don't go anywhere. I don't go on long trips. I don't go the furthest I go is about 150 miles on very, very rare occasion. And when it all came down to it, I said, you know what? Chris is right.
Yes, I am.
And I am happy to report here that I bought an electric car a couple weeks ago, and I am loving it. That's
awesome. I am so glad to hear that, because like I knew you would like it, because we were driving in my electric car. Longtime listeners will remember that I have a Nissan Leaf that I got a while ago, and still have it, still love it. And we were driving around in it, and I was like, you should just do it. Like, this car's nice to drive. Your car would be nice to drive. Like, go for it. And then I think you test drove one and then bought one. So that's awesome.
It just drives beautifully. It drives so differently, and I love it. No transmission really changes the driving experience.
Oh, yeah.
And one pedal driving is amazing. It hit me this morning, literally this morning. Last night I parked my car. I had 50-60% battery. And I said, man, do I have to charge it today? Whatever. I'll just pull it in. I'll plug it in. No big deal. Whatever. And, the thought process of oh man, it's such a pain to have to plug it in. Like, that kind of went through my head last night. And then I was like, whatever, it's 2 seconds. And I plugged it in, and I woke up this morning, got in my car, 200 miles of range. Perfect. Almost, 80% of the battery, not fully charged. You set it kind of that not 100% every night. But it hit me this morning. I'm never going to have to go to a gas station ever again.
Yep,
Nope. You realize it, you kind of know it, but you don't realize it until at some point you're just I'm never going to have to go again. And that hit me just this morning. It was a really good feeling.
Yeah, it's so nice. I don't know what the cost of gas is right now. I don't know. And it's just not relevant to my daily life. I mean, my wife's car is still a gas car, but and she'll sometimes say oh my gosh, gas is, under $3.50 again. I'm like, oh, cool. Great. My car still charges at home. Which is fun.
Yeah.
So it's just not relevant to my life anymore. One thing I will say for you, knowing what I know about you, is that you may need to get a way to inflate your tires, or I guess go to the gas station to do it. Because I have a little air compressor or a little inflator thing. It's like a little drill almost that you can just inflate the tires with. But that's the one service that a gas station could provide you now, or a car wash, I guess, that you might lose out on if you don't have to go get gas, once a week or whatever.
Yeah, I have a feeling that a certain someone will be forcing me to Sheetz every now and then, not for gas, but for food.
Oh, so well, okay.
I'll still have to go there every now and then. And I, yes, you can always go and just fill your tires. But no, getting something at home is a good idea for tires. But that's a really good point, Chris, because the thing that really pushed me over the edge for an electric car is not that I'm never going to have to go to the gas station again. That really didn't bother me too much. Like, that's not a huge deal to me. It's a really nice convenience thing. It's a really nice quality of life thing for me. But it wasn't the driving experience, although it is it's perfect compared to what I used to drive. My old car probably had some problems with spark plugs and misfires, and it just didn't drive smoothly. It didn't shift smoothly. So in general, I didn't like my old car specifically, but also, just driving a combustion engine is different. It feels different. So I like it so much more in an electric car. None of those things pushed me over the edge. The thing that truly pushed me over the edge is the next time I will have to get this car serviced is like Comparatively Forever.
Yes. Yeah, that's the amazing part, because there's no fluids, right? There's no oil. There's no like transmission fluid. There is brake fluid, so that's something to know, but you don't have to change that until the car hits like 1,000,000 miles or whatever. And then
I never use the brakes. I am such a one pedal driver.
Your brake pads will also last longer because it doesn't use the brakes to stop you as much. Like, it still does a little bit, but it handles it for you. But if you use the regenerative stuff as much as you can, then not only do you get more range, but also it is less wear and tear on your brakes.
Yeah, I use almost exclusively one pedal driving. The only time I ever like actually touch the brake is when I need to slow down faster or when I'm backing up, because it doesn't, my car, I don't know if this is a normal thing, but mine doesn't use regenerative braking in reverse, which seems pretty reasonable.
I don't think mine does either, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think mine does. I don't know. I never do it.
So I just love it. I think the only thing that I'll actually need to get like relatively like replaced relatively frequently is like the cabin air filter, which, okay, fine, I could probably do that myself.
You could. I mean, yeah, if it's a big deal.
So I'm not super worried about it. I'm very happy. I was so bad at taking care of my other cars, oil changes, all that. I probably will need a tire rotation at some point, but again, like, the frequency in which you need to get your car serviced is so much lower. So I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy with the car. I'm so happy I bought it. I'm so happy I have an electric car now. I like thumbs up all around.
Welcome to the club. Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 135. Okay, Chris. This is not a WoW podcast.
No, it's not exclusively a WoW podcast, but it kind of is.
So I need to take at least a couple minutes to talk about some other games before we spend the rest of the podcast talking about WoW again.
Okay. All right. I'll allow it.
Is that fair? Is that
yeah.
like just a little bit?
Right.
I have like two things to say about Guild Wars 2. Just a little bit of follow up, because I was really down on Guild Wars 2 last episode. And I think it's only fair to say that based on everything I'm seeing out in the world in terms of reviews, that is a personal experience of mine and not the general experience.
Okay. So the world likes it?
Every review I've seen has been at least positive, if not extremely positive, about this particular expansion. So I just wanted to say that it's getting great reviews. I'm watching and reading those reviews, at least if they're not spoiler related. And I can understand why they say what they say. I think if World of Warcraft didn't also have an expansion at the same moment, I would probably be a little bit higher on Guild Wars 2. But apparently the exploration is great, getting around in the world, all of the events that are going on. And everyone said the same thing, that like the story was very dialogue heavy, very, very dialogue heavy. Which is what I was struggling with a lot. It was very slow. Like the amount of combat in the story is really low.
Okay.
Like the amount of actually playing the game. So I was struggling with that a lot. But everyone says, once you get past that, like if you're into the dialogue, it's great. If you're not, like, do the story and then never do it again. But like the whole rest of the game is great. So I just wanted to let everyone know Guild Wars 2, what I reviewed last week, personal experience, did not actually finish anything. But in general, it sounds like it's a really good expansion that I will be returning to. I plan to return to when World of Warcraft has a little down, because it does. It goes through ebbs and flows. When it has a little bit of a valley, I will certainly be returning to Guild Wars 2, finishing the expansion, and doing everything there is to do over there.
I still reserve judgment for Guild Wars 2 / reserve judgment and reserve purchasing, because there is so much else to play and do that I don't have time for Guild Wars at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I thought it was only fair to follow up and say what everyone else is saying about Guild Wars. I'm still not playing it. I haven't touched it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4, or whenever it came out.
One of the reasons that I will have no time, because, there's Factorio is coming out in like 6 weeks. There's a bunch of other stuff coming. But just this past week, we got an announcement from the maker of Balatro that Balatro is coming to mobile on September 26th. So mark your calendars for mobile gaming, if that's your thing. Maybe it's September 23rd. It's actually before that. I don't know.
Balatro will be a great iPad game.
Yeah, it will be.
Do you plan on starting over on the phone?
Yeah, I'm going to start over. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff unlocked on the PC, but like half the fun is, unlocking this stuff anyway. They do have a button where you can just like unlock everything. So if you wanted to just go to, everything's unlocked and I can do everything, there's a button for that. But I probably will just re-earn it.
Do you still play Balatro pretty regularly? Like, is this actually like, because I booted up maybe on my Steam Deck when I'm flying, but like not regularly.
I've been playing it like probably twice a week.
Oh, okay.
Just like for a couple rounds.
Yeah.
On the Steam Deck, of course. But I would much rather be playing it on my iPad.
Yeah, that's still a lot. That's pretty good. Okay.
So it's I wasn't playing it for a while, and then I watched somebody else play it, like a friend play it on Twitch, and it kind of got me back into it a little bit. And I was like, oh man, this game was really fun. And it's also very good, like pick up and play kind of a game, because you can just like play until the end of a particular round and then just stop, which is nice if you are working that way, which is why I think it's going to work really well on mobile. Hopefully it syncs between the phone and the iPad, because I could also see like sitting in the doctor's office waiting room, like playing a little bit of Balatro on the phone. Like that'd be cool. Somewhere where it's not like appropriate to have like a whole iPad to like play your little poker game. But anyway, very excited about that. It's going to cost $10 on Android and iOS, or if you have the Apple Arcade subscription service, which, people probably don't have, but I do, and I think you do, then you can get it for free on Apple Arcade, which is awesome. So
yeah, that's a good price. And that's, yes, I do have Apple Arcade. Our family has the Family One plan, which is really nice. TV and arcade and fitness and what else is it?
News, music.
Oh, and the storage, all of that together. It actually works out for us really well.
Yep, exactly. So they put it in Apple Arcade and are also selling it on the App Store, which is nice. If I didn't have Apple Arcade, I would buy Slay the Spire and I would buy Balatro for my Apple platforms immediately.
What'd you say it comes out?
September 26th. And you can pre-order it on Apple Arcade now, so it will download to your devices when it unlocks.
That's funny. That's clever.
It is, yeah. It's even coming, just in case you needed it, it's coming to the Apple TV also.
How does that work? I mean, I guess you can sync a controller or something?
Oh, yeah, you can sync a controller to the Apple TV. So you could play with like a PS4 or PS5 controller. Anyway, great game. If you haven't played it, highly recommend. You should probably just buy it for your phone at this point, even though it's also good on the computer.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you haven't purchased it yet, you definitely this is the way to play.
Yeah, just get it on your phone.
That's a really good point.
It's perfect for touchscreen. It's just go for it.
Okay, last thing before WoW, because this isn't a WoW podcast. Neither of us have played it yet, but Astrobot came out recently, and I want to share what I heard, because one of the people I watch, everyone knows Skill Up. Oh my gosh, it's Skill Up. Yeah, I like Skill Up. I like his videos. Okay, he posted a review of Astrobot, and he started the review, like the first 30 seconds of the review are, if you own a PS5, stop watching this review and go buy Astrobot. because the B-roll footage in the review is too much of a spoiler for the game, because all of the charm of the game is in the surprises right around the corner. And I was like, but I love Skill Up's videos and I wanted to watch it so bad, but I was like, I gotta stop. I gotta put it down. I'll put the review down. And I nearly instantly bought Astrobot. I have not yet, but I definitely plan on playing it.
Yeah, I'm right there. I have just seen the general like reviews of, hey, Astrobot is really, really good. Even if it points out that there's not a lot of like PS5 exclusive, IP essentially. There was one of the reviews, I think it was Kotaku, that said like it really highlights the PS5's failure to launch or something. And it's like, well, the PS5 is a pretty good piece of hardware, and I've been happy with having one. But they're right that there hasn't been like a really compelling game for it in a little bit. Final Fantasy, but whatever. Astrobot is the next game. Like, it's the next one. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the IP is Astrobot. But anyway, I'm very excited to play this game at some point. I think it costs $60 on.
Yeah, it's a full price game. Yeah.
But I think it's a full like length game too. I think it's like a, 10-hour platformer. Like it's a real game, not just like a tech demo.
Yeah, that's what I heard. 10 hours or so.
So that's kind of exciting. I'm very much looking forward to this. I don't have time to play it right now. I am adhering to the 2-hour rule well at the moment, and we'll see how long that lasts.
I am too. And I will say I'm adhering to the 2-hour rule, but I almost pulled the trigger on buying and playing it yesterday. Like,
well, I mean, if you're going to play it, that's what the 2-hour rule is for. Like, you're allowed to buy it if you're going to play it. You just can't like be like, oh, I'm going to play that someday. Let me buy it now.
Sure. Yeah. What I'm saying is I almost took a break from WoW to play Astrobot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I was really close. Instead I played WoW for like 12 hours.
Oof, okay. I was busy yesterday, so I missed out.
We'll talk about what I was doing. In any case, if you have a PS5, don't watch any reviews, because they're all going to spoil you, even if they don't intend to spoil you. And just go buy it and play it. Okay, we can only put it off so long. It's time to talk about WoW again. Chris and I are like neck deep, maybe in over our head in World of Warcraft. I have been playing basically every moment I have free for the past 2 weeks. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I did make a joke the other day. I took one day off of WoW. I took last Thursday. I was just like, I need a little break. I'll take a little break. And I made the joke to my girlfriend the next day, and I was like, I'm done with WoW. I'm done. It's over. Season 2 weeks is over. I had my time. I'm good. I'm done with WoW.
How did she take that?
She nearly believed me.
Wow.
Everyone on the podcast knows about the Season 2 weeks. That is a very bad habit of mine, to just absolutely engross into a game and do everything and burn out on it really fast. We'll talk about why WoW has kind of withstood that, but the content drip has been really, really refreshing. And I'm actually a little worried that getting into Season 1, the drip goes away and it becomes kind of a waterfall. And I'm a little worried about that. I'm a little worried. But in general, we'll talk about maybe so far it has been very, very nice, like the pace at which stuff is coming out, at least for me.
Yeah, I have had much less time, just based on real life schedules and commitments and things, to play the last probably 10 days or so. Still playing a healthy amount. I mean, or probably unhealthy amount, but whatever. Still playing a bit, but I am not as able to play as much lately, as much as I would prefer, I guess I'll say. So I'm a little bit not behind, but like less prepared, I guess, as the season begins here in The War Within. But I have completed all the story stuff, and I am kind of caught up on that, which is good. Makes me feel good about that. But also, it's been a great ride so far. Like, it's been super fun. So I don't know where you want to start on this, how you want to tackle it, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about, I think.
Well, let's talk about, like, you haven't had as much time to play, but I don't feel like you're behind at all. There really hasn't been any quote unquote progression so far in the expansion. It's not like you can push higher and higher keys or push higher and higher delves. So it's been really nice to get to a point, like I think at like 570 to 570 or 580 level gear is about where you top out. I think 590 is technically possible, but like you're there on your mage and you have played significantly less than me.
Oh yeah. Mage is totally there.
Just because of how the timing has worked out, and you've completed all the story and all of that. And I think, that's why in general, like if you really only play one character, there really has not been a whole lot to do. You can get to where you need to be relatively quickly. So like when push comes to shove down to your one character, you're good. Like you're good. I'm good. We're ready to go. And that has been, again, that's the kind of the content drip. That's been the, here's a little bit, and here's a little bit of story. Here's a little bit of progress, but not like major open up the gates and go crazy.
Yeah, I would say that's been good and bad. Like it creates a little bit of a situation of like, what do I do now? Like once I finished all the story on my mage, like in a normal season context, there's always, oh, let me push the next mythic level, or let me go gear farm a little bit, or let me join a raid, or let me, there's kind of all that end game stuff that's not active yet. And now it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm quote unquote done with all of the things I need to do before the season starts. So now what can I do on this character? And the answer is like, you can, do profession stuff. You can go do a bunch more like side quests if you want to. But other than that, I mean, you can't push harder content, right? There's not a challenge aspect to it yet. And maybe that's good, but it also feels a little bit like it's building anticipation for the season, which starts like it will have started by the time this episode comes out. No, not the season, but the mythic will be
not
out.
The season. I mean, I guess technically on the 10th, September 10th, so 2 days after this is released, we get Mythic 0 dungeons, which is the next difficulty level, but we do not get Mythic Keystones. So you still can't push harder and harder. You do get normal raid, and I think the first wing of LFR, I think. So you get a little bit, but not a lot. It's just a little bit more. Again, it's a content drip, and you could theoretically do everything on one character within a couple hours, within maybe 4 hours for the whole week, maybe 6 hours for the
That's
whole
assuming a really good raid group, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen.
That's assuming a really good
yet.
raid group, right? Like you could progress the normal raid all the way to the end, and you can get better gear, right? Mythic 0 dungeons is going to progress better gear, and I think it will be the first jump in dungeon difficulty that people will actually have a problem with. Normal dungeons are leveling dungeons are a cakewalk. Normal dungeons, basically the same thing, a cakewalk. Heroic dungeons are only slightly less of a walk in the park. But again, remember that new scaling, that Mythic 0 is going to be equivalent to an old Mythic plus 10? Is that what it was?
That's what they said.
But no timer and no affixes. So it's a little, it's closer to like a Mythic plus 4, plus 5 maybe. And that's a significant jump from a heroic. So I'm excited to finally experience the dungeons and the mechanics and the bosses probably as they were intended. Rather than killing them before they can even get a single mechanic off.
Exactly. Yeah. There have definitely been a few things when we're doing heroics where you kind of say, oh, that's going to be hard. And it's like, yeah, that is going to be tricky when these things have, 5 times more health or whatever, and they last that much longer to kill. But also there have been some points, I guess, in the broader community that like, it's difficult to ramp if you have a ramping class where you need to set up a whole bunch of, stuff on a enemy before it dies so that you can kill it faster. And right now on the content that we have, things are dying so fast that you don't get time to apply all of your dots or like, get everything up to speed. So you don't feel like you're operating at your full potential as a player either. So that's going to be cool to see that in the Mythic Zero context. Hopefully things are going to be hard enough, but not too hard to make it interesting.
I think in general, and I cannot believe I'm saying this because I hate like bullet sponge content. I think in general, Heroic Dungeons boss health needs to be buffed. Just maybe 25% or so. I don't think it's a lot, but I do think the bosses die too fast in Heroic. And I hope that corrects itself in Mythic.
Yeah, it's got to be tricky for them to balance that because you want Heroics to be kind of accessible because everybody, you can queue for them, right? I mean, they're just like random match-made content. And so you want to make sure that like people can succeed and feel good about it. But at the same time, they're supposed to be heroic, which, you know, whatever that means, should be harder than normal. And they are slightly harder than normal, but not hard enough that it requires any sort of coordination at all. And they have the solution for like team dynamics because they have that like constant or perseverance stat thing where if you die a bunch on a boss, you get more like DPS and health on the player side to help you overcome eventually. So maybe that would solve it. So okay, I'm with you. We can buff the heroic bosses by 25%.
Well, and keeping in mind that the heroic bosses, there, as far as I can tell, there are no one-shots mechanics. Like there is nothing that you instantly die, or very rarely are there mechanics where you instantly die if you're at full health. Whereas if you're in Mythic, you know, Mythic Zeros or even Mythic plus fives or you know, right, you start to get into that. If you fail a mechanic, you're dead.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really exist in Heroic, at least as far as I've seen, even for non-tank classes, right? Like if you're a mage, you're going to get hurt pretty bad. But remember, Heroic's matchmaking does have a minimum gear limit, whereas normal doesn't. So
True.
You know, there's a relative like how much DPS people are going to output, how much you know. And I guess all I'm saying is that the bosses last a little bit longer to see a little bit more of their mechanics. Not be harder, just last longer.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe that's what Mythic Zero is going to do for us, right? Maybe that's what's coming here because there is no timer in Mythic Zero, which makes it easier to deal with, but you can't matchmake for it. So you do still have to kind of go through the group forming process. That I think will be a nice warm up to Mythic Plus opening the following week.
I agree. Did they do this? And this is a little bit of a history. I don't know if you remember, but did they do this really slow ramp for Dragonflight?
They did something.
Because I came in after Mythic Plus was already open.
Yeah, they did something, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but they had something where there was kind of like a dead period, but I don't think it was quite this long. Like, I feel like it might have been 2 weeks of not Mythic Plus, and then all of a sudden Mythic Zero and Mythic Plus together, maybe. Okay,
that's what I honestly that's what I almost thought was coming or came on the 10th,
right?
Based on the schedule, but I double checking and all of that. That's not what we're getting. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they've done in the past because that's what a lot of people thought they were going to do.
Yeah, I think this is okay the way that they're doing it, but I don't know. I kind of would like to have access to Mythic. Like, even if they did Mythic Plus, they could do it that way. They could have done Mythic Plus kind of like they did Delves, where they said like, okay, up to Mythic Plus 3 is available now, and then next week it's unlimited.
Oh, yeah. That would have added the first affix and not anything more than that. That would have been cool.
Yeah, just like a little. Here's a warm up.
How much of this do you think is them forcing like a slow rollout, and how much of it is they needed more development time on some of this?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think they probably didn't need that much more dev time once they had the mechanics figured out, because Mythic Plus scaling is like a known quantity. So it's not like they're like inventing how to do Mythic Plus right now, I think. Unless the affixes, I guess, maybe if they were totally unready. But
they were messing around with them for a long time.
No, that's true. But I don't know. I feel like it's not the kind of thing that you need that much like dev time on, unless they just need like player time on it. And
PTR has already moved on. Like PTR is already on 11.0.5. Like It's not like they're waiting around with the Mythic Plus stuff on the test realm. Okay, well, we haven't gotten a whole lot of like mechanic progression or difficulty progression, but I did want to like mention one other thing and maybe get your opinion on, Chris. They not only dripped kind of some of this like, you know, tiny progression, like they didn't really like put it all at once, but they also dripped the story, which was really interesting to me. So when early access came out, there was essentially like the core, I think what they call the leveling experience, the core leveling story that's supposed to take you from 70 to 80 plus some side quests, right? And then the day the expansion actually came out, not early access, they dripped a little bit more story, like a quest or two more that maybe took 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And then the week after, they dripped a little bit more story. And then maybe I'm too many weeks in, but essentially every week they drift a little bit more. We are now at the point where the whole expansion story is out and available, which means we have now completely finished the War Within expansion campaign story. We'll talk about maybe how you felt about the end of the story, but how did you feel about that, like week after week kind of drip?
I like that actually quite a bit in terms of just giving you something to do, like especially in this current period where things are a little bit like there's not end game content to go run. I will say I was a little bit annoyed because like I mentioned, I have had a little bit less time to play. And so like I kind of lost track of one of those intermeeting weeks. And so you guys were like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You got 20 minutes more worth of content to do. And I like logged in and I was like, oh, I'm 3 or 4 steps back. I have an hour and a half of stuff to do, which is fine. I mean, I've still got the experience of all that content. And I still got to do that stuff. It's just I thought I was kind of on par with my friends and I was a little behind, but that's fine. Again, what else are we doing here, right? There's plenty of time to catch up. It's just more of like, can you talk about the story and like that kind of thing. But actually, I think this is a good way to go. I was a little bit annoyed because the Earthen allied race was locked behind one of these story things, one of these weeks, which I would have liked to have just been able to kind of have that checkbox checked like during the early access period, even if that would be an option. But I understand why they did it. They wanted it so that everybody could get them at the same time and whatever. And that's fine. I still don't have an Earthen, so I don't know why I was rushing, but I wish I would have liked to have been able to if I wanted to. I wanted to be invited to the party, even if I was going to say no.
Yeah. Okay. I loved the way they did it because it was just kind of it was a little bit of a surprise every week. You logged in, you got a little bit more content, and they didn't really. At least I didn't hear that. You know, this was the last one, or this is the end, or there's more after that. Like you didn't know. Like you were experiencing the story as it came, and I kind of really enjoyed that.
And this isn't the end, right? If you remember Dragonflight, right, they would do kind of those major 0.1, 0.2 patches, and those would come with the new raid, and they would come with a little bit more story. So, like, we're not done. We're just done for now with, like, releases of stuff.
I don't even think we're close to done. So let me, we're going to talk a little bit about content, but not any spoilers. So we have finished, like, the arc, the main campaign arc at this point. But as we're recording this on the Sunday before kind of the next release, we haven't gotten the raid yet. There was a really, 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 like they've done such a good job at the initial leveling experience had a very good ending. We knew it wasn't the end, but it had a very good ending. Right. And then you got a couple more weeks of stuff and then it had a really good ending. Right. And you're just like, that was an ending to a story. Not the end, but an ending, right? Mm-hmm. It was a very, very good end to a book that you realize is in a series. And you're like, okay, we got to a checkpoint. We got to a milestone. I understand what's happening. I think, Chris, that we're going to get more story. And you all know this by the time this comes out. But I think we're going to get more story on Tuesday when we get the raid because they haven't done anything to introduce the raid. Like they haven't, like we know who the raid boss is. We know, I don't know how they're going to present that story. I don't know how they're going to do it, if it's just a cutscene or if it's going to be a couple quests or whatever. But I think we're going to get a little tiny bit more story to kind of reintroduce a conflict of some sort so that we can start the raid. I have a guess as to what it is. I'm not going to share it because there's spoilers involved with it, but I think we're going to get even more on Tuesday that, again, introduces a little bit more. And then I'll think we'll be waiting a little bit to get the next, whatever the next one is. It's just been really good, the pace at which they're releasing story. It is a little annoying when you log in, now that if you start a new character, you're going to get it all at once. And it's kind of just all together. But
right.
As we were experiencing and as we were playing it in the moment, it was really fun and cool and nice and well paced when and how the story was coming out. You keep saying, "Oh, there's not a whole lot to do." I keep saying, "Oh, there's not a whole lot to do." You can level up one character. So I have a confession to make.
Oh,
because if there's not a whole lot to do on one character, what do? You make more characters.
Yep, that's the way you do it in WoW.
If everyone remembers, they've done two major things. Blizzard has done two major things. First, they made it very easy to level alts prior to the expansion. Extremely easy, like 2 hours to get from level 10 to level 70. Like with the pre-patch.
Is that still the case?
It's not quite as fast, but it's pretty close.
Okay.
It's probably closer to 3.5 hours, but it's still short. Like it's still way shorter than it used to be.
Okay. Nice.
You'll also remember that Chris and I leveled, I think, every single class. So we have at least 13 different characters, all at the max, all at the old max level.
Yes, level 70.
Is that true for you? You've got all of them?
I have everything except a warrior.
Everything except a warrior. Okay. I have them all. And if you ever want a warrior, you still have tokens, like boost tokens. I don't. I'm out. And I don't think you'll ever play a warrior, to be honest. So I don't think it'll matter.
I don't really think so either.
So I've been spending a lot of time. So that was getting it to level 70, which is the old max level cap prior to the expansion. I have spent a lot of time getting a lot of characters, more than I planned on, to level 80. I now have 5 characters at level 80 and I'm working on my 6th. And I never, ever thought I'd have that many characters at max level. I didn't even come close to that in Dragonflight. But the leveling experience is so good. The account-wide progression is so fun. The way that I'm doing it is perfect for me. I've really been enjoying the leveling process with alts on an account where a lot of things are account-wide. Because there's not a whole lot else to do, which is fine. Like, I've been enjoying this. I don't think I'm going to play all those alts when we really get to it, but gosh, I'm up to 5 alts and just the account-wide stuff is so nice.
Yeah, I know that they did a lot of stuff with like account-wide reputation and such. You don't get like double rep gains on the alts, right? Like you don't get like, if you've already gotten some quest that rewards reputation, you don't get that reputation reward on the second character that does the quest, right?
There are a few that do that. I think it's the weekly limited ones where you have to do a specific dungeon and you choose which faction you want to get your reputation with.
Okay. I
think that's character bound, not warband bound. So there are a few cases of that, but not a lot. There are not a lot of sources of that, and they're all limited. But when you're doing like all of the campaign quests and all of the side quests, no, you only get the rep bonus with your first character that does them.
Okay.
But with that being said, all of the side quests now are essentially warband bound, but you can do them on multiple characters. But like, since achievements are warband bound, like warband wide now, you can do them all on different characters. So that's exactly what I've been doing, is as I'm leveling each character. And I think I said this on the last episode that this is what I was going to do. Turns out works great. I've been starting another character. I've been kind of doing dungeons in between. And then I'm doing side quests in each of the areas. So, like on my Demon Hunter, I didn't do any side quests. On my next character, I did side quests in the first zone. And on my next character, I did side quests in the second zone. And on my mage, which I just finished yesterday, I leveled it. And as I was waiting for the DPS dungeon queue, I was doing side quests in Hellfall, which is the third area. So, and as I'm doing that, I'm progressing my account towards the War Within Lore Master, like overall story achievement, which I love that progress, and I love that it carries over from character to character. It didn't used to. That's the thing that's so surprising to me, is that it didn't used to. You used to have to do it all on one character.
Well,
and that's
you used to have to do each. You would have had to do each one of those areas on a single character, because it would be the Lore Master achievement is a meta achievement based on the other achievements on your account. So like you could have done the first area on one character, second area on a second character, but you would have had to complete that area on the same character that you started it on, even though you could mix and match across the characters. So this is even more flexible, because you can mix and match between characters within a region and have maximum kind of flexibility of partial like quest line finishing on different characters.
Yeah, each quest is individual, right? So if you start a quest and you could carry it over somewhere else, there's also all of the prereqs, right? If I do a quest on a different character, a lot of the prereqs follow over. It's very flexible, and it's very fun, and it's very account-wide progression-y, and I love that. And it's been a great way to level characters and rep grind, like all at the same time. And all of it matters for all of my characters. Like I'm doing stuff on my alts that will matter eventually, like for my main character, with that reputation grind. So I love that.
Yeah, I've noticed that my reputations are way higher than they typically are.
Yes. Yeah. They're, I don't know, I think I'm around level 9 or 10 right now. Which I don't know that I got to level 10 at all on any character ever in in Dragonflight. So it's been very nice. The other thing about alts is, and this has been the reason that I've done, I'm on my 6th, and I probably will stop at 6, maybe 7, because when the new content comes out, I will be doing other things. But you get that bonus. You get that 5% per character at level 80. You get an account-wide bonus for every other character up to level 80. So I'm up to 25% bonus XP on all of my characters up to level 80. Dark Moon Fair was around last week. That's another 10%. So like it just feels really good to be leveling characters, because you get all this bonus, and the more you do, the more you get. And there actually is another, if you get 5 characters, which is the max, you get a warband wide bonus that your warband bank, skill actually cools down in 2 hours instead of 3, which I didn't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which, I mean, it's not a big deal. 2 hours versus 3 hours, whatever. But like, I got a mail. I got a real in-game mail that said, hey, congrats on, putting your whole warband together. You got 5 characters. Your thing cools down faster now.
That's
cool.
Just,
I don't know. It's just really nice to see all of these things come together. And I've really been enjoying it. I don't think this will last. I think you have some questions down at the bottom on like what our goals are, but like in general, I don't think I will be playing more than 2, maybe 3 characters long term.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable, and I don't think most people would even, plan to do that. I mean, I am committing to. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I am only going to do my mage. Like that's the one that I'm saying. Like I'm going to do, but I want to keep my, my druid, which I can tank on, as kind of keep it relevant ish. So like maybe every other week do a couple dungeons or something to kind of keep some gear on it. To not be pushing the hardest content, but to be able to support if we have kind of hit our limit on mains, to be able to kind of run around and do stuff with alts.
Right.
I think there's a lot of opportunity here for like mixing it up. I think there's a lot of opportunity for like, oh man, I'm really burnt out on hard keys. Let me, do something a little bit more chill, but still kind of the teamwork side of running dungeons and stuff. Like let's switch to a different character, which we've never had before, like not legitimately.
No, I mean, I've got all 3 classes now. You're dabbling into healing, so you've got at least 2 classes, or 2 roles, maybe 3. And that's not to say, like, we've been talking a lot about dungeons and raids. We have not even talked about delves.
Oh my gosh, delves. Based
on some content I'm seeing on YouTube, get really hard.
I could see where that would be the case. I'm excited for delves.
That's really nice too, and that's another progression element. That's it gets really hard, but there's no timer, so they're essentially a dungeon that the content gets really hard, but there's no timer involved with it. So that's really nice. Like, that's just another thing to do if you, oh man, I really don't want the stress of a timer right now, but I don't want to go do easy nothing world content. Okay, let's go do delves. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, and delves are nice too because they're only with your group. Like, you don't have to find randos. Like, they're very self-contained.
Right. They'll scale to however many people you have. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe to shift gears a little bit, what kinds of things, like, now we are here before Mythic Plus comes out, before Mythic Zero comes out, looking at the front of a season, and there's so much possibility, right? This is the sales pitch here. But what kinds of goals do you have, and I'll talk about it too, but like, what kind of goals do you have for this season? Like, what do you want? How far do you want to get? Like, what do you want to get done? And then not that I'm not going to hold you to it, but like, it's just an interesting philosophical question of like, what do you want to do in this particular phase of WoW?
Okay, so there's 3, maybe 4 major areas. There's mythics, mythic dungeons, delves, raids, and professions. Those are kind of the 4 areas that I have goals around. Some people will have more transmog goals. Some people will have more, whatever, economy goals or economic goals. Those are like the 4 areas that I think about. Let's start with professions. I'm not making any commitments to professions other than maybe attempting to get as far with knowledge points as I can. It's just kind of a gold making venture for me. I'm dabbling in some crafting related professions, but I'm trying to really push my mining and herbalism professions to as far as I can get.
Okay. Yeah. On my end, on professions, I think I want to max out herbalism and alchemy, which is on my mage. And then I also want to, I want to be able to make stuff for myself in the places where I want to, if that makes sense. Like, I want to maybe get like a tailor up so I can make cloth armor for my mage kind of thing. I want to maybe do enchanting. I don't know. I've always had like aspirations to do professions, and I've never really delivered, like been able to kind of have enough alts that were high enough level, or that were, involved enough to feel like I could have them play the profession game. And maybe I'm silly and I shouldn't bother, because right now, at least, I'm not sure that you can make a lot of money making professions like happen. But it would be kind of nice to be able to say, hey, I need this crafted piece for my mage. Let me have my other character make it for them.
I really need an accountant to break down how you make money with professions.
An accountant? A WoW accountant?
Yeah, I want someone to actually show me, like, here's how you invest into the profession, and here's what you'll get out over time, right? Because to me, it feels like non-gathering professions, so crafting, alchemy, tailoring, weaponsmith, whatever they're called, blacksmithing, I feel like they require such a, and this is just a feeling, I don't have any proof of this, but I feel like they require such a gold investment to get off the ground,
right?
That I don't want to spend that gold without the knowledge of what I'm going to get out the other side, because I don't have enough to spare. However, that's why I'm really pushing gathering professions right now, because gathering professions, even if they're weak gold makers, are gold makers. There's no cost other than time. So that, I think that's generally my goal this season, is to just make a bunch of gold as much as I can, which I've already delivered on a lot of. Like, I've made a lot of gold kind of preseason because, things are expensive early in the expansion. But I want to make enough so that maybe I can experiment with a crafting profession of some sort next season, where I'm not afraid to go below 200,000 gold on leveling it up, if that's what it takes. I don't know what it takes, but I think that's what I feel like it takes. Like, that's what I think. So that's where I'm at with that. I would love to see your alchemy be beneficial to whatever guild, or even just our little mini group of people, whatever that is, just maybe me and you, whoever. Like, I would love to see your alchemy feel like, hey, I need potions. Can I pay you for potions? And you actually to make a small profit on that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do that. I was kind of there in Dragonflight, although I was mostly making flasks for myself for the most part, because of like cross-realm trading rules and stuff like that. You can kind of get around that with warbands now if you really want to, but it would be like a 6-step process to get things into your warbank and switch characters and go back and trade and blah, blah, blah. Like it would be a bit of a mess. But I did notice that now it's easier to get a cauldron where people can make flasks from the cauldron, basically. So like if you're in a raid, you can place down a cauldron and then people can make their own regardless of their realm. So that would be nice. You get that recipe for free when you put enough skill points into one of the alchemy things. So I don't know if that's the best flasks you can make, but it's at least a good option. I also I recently found some synergy between alchemy and herbalism, because alchemy can make a potion that lets you see the invisible herbs, which I didn't even know were a thing. But now I do. And so I did that for myself, and that was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm hoping that turns out to be useful. I mean, for me, alchemy is mostly a I don't know, convenience, utilitarian thing, because also as an alchemist, you get double length on your flasks, so you need fewer of them. So I like to use that to my advantage. But I do hope that I can supply you, maybe just you or whatever, with flasks, which I'm already getting there. I just need to get a bunch more recipes.
Oh, I guess I forgot about fishing and cooking. I do have at least want to get fishing to level 300. Which should just take time, and again is another gathering profession. But cooking is one of those ones where I think I could get there, and it's a crafting profession, and I don't think it's going to take as much of an investment, because you can get a lot of the stuff you need from cooking just by playing the game, fishing and killing enemies and all that. So I'm hoping the investment is a little smaller. So that's my crafting goal, is cooking.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Yeah, I'd like to be able to make feasts for raids. That'd be nice. Either for selling or for using.
Yeah, and then maybe my own food, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, because I spend a lot of money on food, particularly because you die when you eat food.
No. You die after you eat food.
Sorry, you lose the food buff when you die. Yeah, you die after you eat the food and you lose the buff. But there are those
Flavor pocket.
There's the new kind of food that persists through death.
Oh,
hearty meal. They're hearty meals or hearty feasts or whatever. It takes 5 of the food to make a hearty meal version of it. So if you're doing a raid boss, you can make a hearty meal version of your food where you're planning on dying over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. They're probably not good for Mythic Plus, but they're probably really good for raid progression.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's professions. I have much easier goals with delves. Delves, I want to get to at least level 8, which is the max reward level. I don't know. I don't want to set the goal for myself of beating the level 13 or like the super delve boss highest tier. I don't know that I have that goal, but I at least want to max out level 8, which is the highest reward tier of delves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm right there with you, except that I would like to try the super hard boss. Like, I don't know that I want to say that I need to succeed, but I think it would be cool to try to see it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how to unlock it. So if we get there...
I'm not sure either, but...
I still think we're many weeks away from it, because tier 8 is like, I don't know, like 620 gear or something. So we're still pretty far away. Yeah, I mean, I would try it. I would tank for it, sure.
Yeah, there's not much to say about delves other than there's a bunch of delves and they have a bunch of levels. So level 8 is the most that you can do to get rewards. So let's do all the delves on the
I haven't even experienced them all yet. Have you experienced all the delves?
I don't think I've been to all of them. I think I've been to probably about half, maybe 2/3.
There is an achievement for going to all 12.
I don't think I've got that one yet.
Okay, Chris, here's the golden question. We're going to save Mythic Plus for last, because I have a very simple goal for that one. But what is your raid goal for this season?
I think I want to put ahead of the curve on my goal list, although I don't know if it's going to be practical in this particular season of time, just based on my personal life stuff. But I would love to be able to do AOTC for this first season.
Are you going to try to push AOTC early in the season?
I want to, yes. I mean, earlier than I have in the past. I would say AOTC like mid-season would be nice. Like AOTC by Christmas, like that would be nice.
Are you going to try to pug it, or do you my goal is also AOTC. My I would like to do it with some group that I am actually progressing with.
Yeah, that's consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know which group it is. I think we may have one, we may have a couple, but by the time I get AOTC, I would like the larger goal in all of this is to find a group for next season. Mm-hmm. But I'd love to be able to get AOTC not in a pug group.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. I do have a group, like we've been talking about this a bunch, but I think I have a group that I ran with a bunch of times last season. I'm hoping that they're going to be back together again this season. They've been a little bit flaky on the responses at the moment, but they're a bit of a smaller group, but they kind of have like a core group and they supplement with pugs, which is fine. It's not ideal, but it'll work. But they're also pretty chill. Like, and that's kind of what I need is the, like, you know, if I'm on a work trip or something and I can't be there, like I don't want them to kick me out because I'm, you know, have real life stuff going on. And that's the level of balance I'm looking for. Maybe there's something else we can find. There probably is, but I would like to get to AOTC, and it would be nice to do it with a consistent group, or at least a group where we knew like half the people.
I would be fine. Yeah. I mean, that's nice. The group that you found, they fill with pugs. I would love to find a group of people that is consistent, but maybe has enough where they're flexible, but they don't fill with pugs. And that's, you know, hey, they have a raid sign up every week, and between 15 and 30 people sign up for that raid sign up every week. And that's what they have. That's what they run with. I would prefer something more along those lines. But regardless, like if you have a raid leader that is consistent, that would be a group for me.
Right. Yeah. So we'll have to figure that out. I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit of flux here in the first week or two of the raid availability, and maybe that's okay.
I also have a little tiny like sub goal in this, Chris, and I need you to help me with this. Are you ready?
Oh, okay.
I don't want to raid lead.
Ah, okay. That's a goal to write down. Sure.
It's weird that I have to put that as a goal.
Yeah, but like also knowing yourself and knowing that you'll tend towards that role, like, is probably good to actively avoid it if you know you don't want to do it.
I mean, I'm a tank, so I love to like dungeon lead. That's essentially what you're doing, right? You're dungeon leading. But like, so you just kind of fall into the raid leading role a lot of times, especially if you're tank. I want to just experience a raid. Like I don't like it, just maybe later in the season, maybe if we're like the guild is working to like alt runs and they have a second, like whatever. Like again, I'm just like spitballing here, but like I don't want to raid lead our AOTC poll.
Oh, okay. I don't know how I feel about that for me. Like I probably shouldn't because just again, life commitments, whatever. But I would not be opposed to calling the AOTC poll necessarily if that's where it came down to. Okay. Did we make it? Mythic Plus?
We made it. I've got a really easy goal for this one. I don't know if I'm going to make it, and you're not going to hold me to it, but I have a really easy goal.
Okay.
I would like to get portals for all 8 of the Mythic Plus dungeons this season.
Oh, that is a goal. Like that's ambitious.
I think I can pull it off.
You probably can. I don't know if I can, but you probably can. What is it? Mythic 10 to get the thing now?
Yeah. Plus 10s, successful plus 10 run.
Okay. Yeah. I think that seems doable. I would love to do that just to kind of start collecting those. I got a couple in the previous seasons.
Let's be clear. I've never, ever earned a portal before.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have like 3 or 4, but there have been like 30.
Okay. I've never earned it. But portals go in your spell book now, and they're warband bound.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the right time to earn portals is at the beginning of an expansion, because these dungeons are going to come back around.
Right.
And as soon as you earn them on your main, you get them on all your alts for the whole expansion, forever, but for the whole expansion. I want to get at least portals for the War Within dungeons, which there will be 4 of.
Right.
But I really want them for all 8. I've never done a dungeon that high before. I think it'll be fine. I think I'll be okay. We have a group that runs pretty high dungeons that we can run with every now and then. So I think it'll be possible. I don't think it's too lofty of a goal, but it is definitely a tiny bit of a stretch goal.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly is, but it's a very doable, like very like tangible goal. Not to say like, I just want to go as high as I can, like, or set an arbitrary flag in the sand of like, I want to do a plus 20, which now are like impossible. But, it's something that they have an achievement for. Obviously they expect people to be able to do it. So like, yeah, I think I support this.
I think if I got portals across all of my things on my tank, I'd be done for the season with my tank. Like that would be like the final goal for the season for me.
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay,
capstone.
I got them all. If I had AOTC and I had all the portals, I'd be like, all right, I've got to start working on another character. Like that would kind of be the limit for me. And I'm not saying I wouldn't play anymore. I may go play Guild Wars a little bit. I may play other games. Like that would be kind of the peak or the top of my season, and I would start kind of doing other things at that point.
Sure.
Do you? What's your goal from? Do you share that goal? Do you have something different?
I mean, I think that is it's going to be lame, but like that's a great goal, and I would like to also get a bunch of portals. I mean, I'm a mage. I have portals to lots of places, and having portals directly to dungeons would be nice to also collect. So I think I will join you in that goal of getting all the portals. I think it's going to be harder for me because as a DPS, it just is harder to get like taken on runs and stuff. So hopefully there'll be some opportunity to have, friendly groups that will be easy to get into as opposed to the typical, oh, you're not, one item level higher than you are, so therefore we won't take you. It's like, okay, but please. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more difficult for you. I do think that you may have to have your own plus 10 key.
Yeah, I would bring the key, exactly.
Rather than join someone else's group. Because it is extremely difficult to get into groups as a DPS. I feel that.
Or if you come with, a friend in a group that's already a tank that is desirable, then, you can get brought along on things.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Just saying.
Okay, well, we've gushed over World of Warcraft enough, I think. If you don't like this kind of content, I'm sorry. This is what Chris and I are playing right now.
This is what it's going to be until Factorio, I think.
Yeah, until Factorio. So probably one more episode, right? Two more.
3, I don't know, several.
Somewhere in there. It'll probably be this until Factorio. So maybe a little Astrobot mixed in at some point.
Oh yeah. Astrobot, yep.
But we are really enjoying the World of Warcraft expansion. I am so excited for, honestly, now that this kind of arc has ended, I see the arc that is being set up for the World Soul Saga, and I'm so happy they did it this way. So if you're playing World of Warcraft, if you want to run dungeons with us, help us get our Mythic Plus portals, you can get in contact with us by joining our Discord, which you can get to at discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to find our show notes or hear any of our older episodes or listen on the web, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're liking the show, all we would ask is that you share it with someone else that might enjoy it as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time. Jason, for unrelated things, I was looking at the Elgato website, which is the makers of the Stream Deck, and they have a bunch of Stream Decks now. Have you looked at their stuff lately?
It's not just one product anymore. That's an entire line.
No, I mean, it used to be they had the regular Stream Deck, the tiny Stream Deck, and the giant Stream Deck. That was it, right? All of them with just little buttons, little screen buttons, and that was it. Now they have all sorts of stuff.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'm clicking on the stuff. That's okay. They have a whole line.
Yeah, it's a whole line for them. So the thing that caught my interest originally was the pedal, the Stream Deck pedal, which is a little thing you put under your desk, and it's got 3 buttons that you can actuate with your feet, which I am kind of considering for WoW /rating /whatever to either use in a combat rotation or to use in a push to deafen kind of a situation, right? Something where it's
like a mute button.
Yeah, like a mute button where it's like I don't really want to do a mouse or keyboard button for that, and I do have a button on my Stream Deck to do it, but like I'm peak lazy, right? Be able to just like hit the foot pedal. Like if I had to cough, right? If I was like we're on Discord and I'm recording a podcast and I have to cough, like I can push the little button and have it mute me. I don't know, that it seems like it'd be useful, although it's a little pricey. So I'm not sure that I'm totally sold on it, but that was the first thing that drew me here just to look at it, and then I found out that they've got a whole nother set of a bunch of other stuff.
Before you move on to all the other stuff, you could test this pedal theory pretty cheaply.
You're right. I absolutely could. Yeah, I could. I mean, the cheapest way to do it would be to like stick a keyboard under the desk and like hit the spacebar with my toe. But like, that's probably a little too low tech.
That wasn't what I was thinking.
But yeah, there actually are. I mean, the Stream Deck one is branded with Stream Deck, and it ties into the Stream Deck like configuration app, which is nice. But they make them on Amazon that are basically just like macro pads that have 3 or 4 keys on them or whatever, but they're giant, like they're foot-sized keys. And so then you can map those using software to whatever, key press you want. So you could map them to press, F13 or whatever.
Yeah, and those are between $15 and $40. Like they're cheaper.
Yeah, those are cheap and probably good enough. And that might be, if I was serious about this, that might be what I would do.
Or you could buy one, try it out, return it within 30 days and buy the Elgato one if you like it.
I know, but I don't even know if I need the Elgato one. That's what I mean.
Well, yeah, sure.
Like I might be good enough without it, but yeah, thinking about it.
Anyway, so other than the pedal, what piqued your interest?
So the thing that really first piqued my interest was an add-on to the Stream Deck Plus. The Stream Deck Plus, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like it's got like knobs on it. It's got 4 knobs and like a little screen, like a little like almost like a touch bar from a MacBook Pro where you can like use it to do audio mixing. And then it also has 8 little Stream Deck buttons on the top. You can use it to do your audio control and then also Stream Deck-y things, which is kind of neat. But they also make what caught my eye at first was they make this thing called the XLR dock, which ties into the back of that Stream Deck Plus and adds the ability to put a microphone into the back of your Stream Deck. Essentially, it becomes the audio interface. Like right now, I use an outboard audio interface to plug my podcasting microphone into, and then it goes to USB, and then that goes to my computer. This will do that, except that it like fits in a little compact package right behind the screen of this Stream Deck Plus thing.
Oh, wow. Would it would get a whole box off your desk, wouldn't it?
It would save a bunch of space. Although the Stream Deck Plus has fewer Stream Deck buttons than my current Stream Deck does. But then I would have 2 Stream Decks, so maybe that would be okay.
You would keep them both.
I would just keep them both, and I'd have 2 Stream Decks. But yeah, it would take a whole box off my desk. I don't know what the quality of the mic preamps is, and I don't know like if it would really be right, or like a good replacement. But yeah, it's like an audio interface that like fits behind the existing Stream Deck you already have on your desk. And then you can use the knobs on the front of the Stream Deck to control the stuff that the microphone is doing.
And it only works with the Stream Deck Plus. It doesn't work with your current Stream Deck?
It does not. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, because it physically is like molded and designed to like screw into the base of the Stream Deck Plus. And like the USB port position is like perfectly in the right spot for it.
Gotcha. Well, this is interesting. If I ever had an XLR mic, I would totally do that.
Oh yeah. It's I have an XLR mic, and so would be a good opportunity. But I also already have a USB interface for it, so like I don't need this. The other thing that they have is a USB hub, which has 2 USB-A ports, 2 USB-C ports, and then a like power in and a like to your computer like uplink port that can charge your laptop at 65 watts, which is pretty cool. And that plugs in instead of the XLR thing. So like if you weren't going to do it with a microphone, you could just get this USB hub thing, and then that would help you, take some wires off your desk and stuff.
Oh, dang. And a card reader. This is like
an SD card reader?
Full out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
these are nice.
Yeah, I know. They're also expensive, but I mean, the USB hub is like $60, which is expensive for a USB hub, but for a custom one that fits in this particular form factor, it's maybe not so bad.
I might have to play around because I currently use my MIDI board in front of me that powers Voicemeeter. Mm-hmm. But I'll say I'm not super in love with that setup, particularly because it's a little finicky sometimes. So I wonder if this is like something that should go on my Christmas list.
Yeah, I've had pretty good success just anecdotally with the Stream Deck controlling voice meter from my plain old normal Stream Deck, to the degree that I'm considering getting, not seriously considering, but like it's crossed my mind to get a Stream Deck XL with like the bajillion Stream Deck buttons to be able to do voice meter things. Although now that I'm looking at it, this whole Stream Deck Plus thing might just solve my problem, because I could use the knobs to do the pluses and minuses that I currently have to use 2 buttons to do.
Yeah. Do you use your Stream Deck like a lot?
Yeah, I'm using my Stream Deck every single day. Like I use it, so I have it broken out with voice meter to control, like you do, I think, like to control like my browser audio, to control Discord, and to control like my normal system game audio, whatever. So I adjust those or mute them often, like every day.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize you did that from your Stream Deck.
Oh yeah, no, I don't do it from the voice meter interface. I do it all from the Stream Deck.
Very interesting. Okay, well then, yeah, I think you have a really good use case for a Stream Deck Plus.
Yeah, I think now that I'm talking about it and looking at it, because the Stream Deck, the knobs on the Stream Deck Plus, I don't know if they're clicky, if they're also a button, because then that would solve. Right now I use 3. So like I have the 3x5 normal Stream Deck, and I use an entire column for each one of the 3 or 4 channels that I have on my voice meter. So this thing with its 4 little knobs, if those knobs are clickable,
well, I'll do you one better. I don't know if they're clickable, but the screen directly above the knobs is a touch screen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, on the product page itself, it shows that you change pages. You can swipe left and right.
Oh.
To change pages with that touch screen.
Okay, all right. I think I need one of these. It's decided.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very well thought out product. I will say Stream Deck and Elgato, they're product people. I mean, they're a lot like Apple in that they, I think, spend a lot of time on their hardware product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can also change the color of the knobs. You can get like pink knobs.
Yeah, and right now on their website it says free color dial set if you buy a Stream Deck Plus.
Wow.
Okay. All right. This is cool.
Did this conversation cost you $200?
It may have.